Hello. So I got around 15 minutes. I'll try to wrap up what I want to say in 13 minutes. So in case I make a mistake, I got those extra 2 minutes. So you will see me talking about what's the insights-led customer engagement platform. Basically, I'll cover 5 points. I'll talk about what are the challenges in customer engagement. I'll talk about what is the basic ingredients of insights-led customer engagement. I'll talk about 5 brands who have adopted this well, what's the kind of success they're achieving. And finally, I'll wrap it up with talking about from MoEngage, what is that adoption we're seeing over the last 1 year in the insights-led customer engagement. I think I'm going to say the most obvious, right? And you all are very familiar with these challenges. Now, interesting is, if you're following Mary Maker, she said in 2018, she coined this word about privacy paradox. Privacy paradox, which is basically every one of us, like if I put myself as a consumer or any of you, we are concerned about what kind of data about us is being captured. At the same time, we want highly personalized experiences. So that's the big challenge, right? I'm saying the obvious word, competition. Expectations have gone up. There is competition everywhere. And finally, as marketeers, we want to use tools which are agile, which can kind of help us do cross-channel campaign management. Now, if you kind of look around and say, hey, typically what is the big challenges in the customer engagement space, right? If you want to engage your customers well, what are the top challenges? As you can see, the top 5 reasons, I'm sure it resonates with most of you. I think the question which you probably want to ask yourself is, which one kind of resonates with you more, right? Is it about the managing the customer journey? Is it about the data? Is it about the multiple devices? Is it about personalizing? What exactly is the challenge which resonates with you? Obviously, it changes from brand to brand based on your past experiences, based on what kind of brand recall you have, and so on. But essentially, if I have to summarize it in one simple sentence, is what we are seeing, and I'm sure you all will agree with me, brands are doing is, how do you move from a campaign-centric to a more customer-centric approach? Campaign-centric was what we are very familiar with the previous ways of doing things, which is simple CRM-based campaigns. But then in a customer-centric approach, you're talking about, for example, if it is me you're targeting, hey, do you know me well? Do you know what kind of drives me? Do you know what kind of experiences resonate with me? And that's the kind of experience you want to deliver, right? So that's where you go to a customer-centric approach. Now, if I have to kind of call out, you want to be customer-centric, and how can you be customer-centric, right? I'm going to keep things at a fairly high level right now, and in a couple of minutes, I'll go one step below, a little more detailed into that. But if the question is about how can you be customer-centric, 3 things, right? 3 things really matter. First is unify. Can you kind of unify everything you know about the customer, all the data, right? The second thing is about, can you analyze that? Can you kind of form insights out of it? And finally, of course, it is about engaging, right? Engaging is about one-to-one, highly personalized experiences. So this is like a flywheel, right? So you unify, you gather all the data, you analyze, you engage. You use the engagement data, again, you build better understanding, and so on. As I said, in a minute, I'm going to go a little more detailed into these 3 stages. But if I have to summarize this in one sentence, which would be about, can you kind of build an insights-led engagement? And that's really what the flywheel I spoke about: unify, analyze, and engage, right? All the 3 going together. Now, let's go a little deeper into this. You will see that I'm going to talk about 4 broad topics. The first is about the unify, analyze. The second is about engaging. Third is personalizing. And finally, I'll wrap it up, where AI is playing a big role in all this, right? So let's take the first one, which is about when I said unify everything you know about a customer, and you analyze, what do I really mean by it? Let's take a persona. Meet Varsha. So everything you know about Varsha, right? Demographic data, psychographic data, behavioral data, campaign data, right? Let's go through some of them. She lives in Bangalore, single, travels by train. Uh, Order value, last one was 2,300 rupees. She bought 10 orders. She's a loyal customer. Best time to reach her is 7 in the evening on a Wednesday. And she primarily responds to app notifications, and email is a secondary channel. She banks with HDFC Bank, right? And then what else? A little bit more on the PI data. Her second name is Bhatt. When she's born, when is she customer with you? What about some of the other demographic, psychographic information, like she likes Kannada movies, she likes biryani, she went to Bandipur recently. Now imagine you know all this about somebody, right? And now I'm sure as I'm saying this, you guys are building an image in your head on what Varsha is, who Varsha is, what makes sense for her, right? It is that ability to kind of collate this data, which is sitting in different places. Some of it is anonymous, some of it is sitting in your CRM, some of it is sitting in your order processing, various places, right? In some cases, it's probably sitting with different teams altogether. Now, when you start looking at how do I understand Varsha better, it is that ability to kind of unify and you analyze the data, and you start understanding what makes sense. Now, let's go to the next level, which is engaging, right? This is the most obvious thing today. We all are experiencing the power of multiple channels, multiple devices, and so on. So it's about, can you kind of craft that experience across different channels, right? Easiest examples. I returned a product, and after a couple of days, I get an email from the brand asking me to provide a review for the product. Or the worse than that, I bought a product, and 1 week later, I'm told there is a 20% discount on that product. So these are typical challenges we face, right? It's about how do you kind of manage this experience across multiple channels. Now let's go to the next part, which is once you kind of collate everything you know about Varsha, you're able to understand what makes sense. Second thing is you know how to kind of engage with us across different devices. That's where you come to the holy grail of personalization, right? How do you do a one-to-one personalized engagement with Varsha? Now it's about all your digital properties, websites, apps, all the outbound communication you're doing. Can you deliver a highly personalized experience? To sum it up, one of the most powerful tools, which I just took an easy example of what AI can do. In this case, what you're seeing is the AI can help you understand which is the best channel. I spoke about it, right? Varsha, app first, email second. Second thing is message frequency. We spoke about Wednesdays, 7 p.m. in the evening, right? Message sequence. So in this case, as you can see the example, the AI is quickly understanding, looking at the data, and throwing up to you what is probably the best path where the engagement is highest. So those were the 4 broad things which I touched on, basically to make the point about how do we look. We spoke about the flywheel, right? Which is unify, engage, and personalize, right? Now, let me kind of introduce to you what MoEngage does. MoEngage is an insights-led customer engagement platform. AI-driven insights, we help you cross-channel communication and so on. Let me kind of move ahead I spoke about that I'll touch on 5 customer stories. I deliberately chose 5 brands, the super familiar market leaders. Each of them come from very different industries. Somebody who is a QSR, somebody here is a CPG brand, somebody is a click and mortar brand, and then somebody is a digital native brand. So as you can appreciate, each of them have completely different business dynamics, different challenges, different opportunities, and so on. All 5 of them have adopted MoEngage some time back, and these are some of the published case studies. Let me start with the first one, which is Domino's. 1,400 retail outlets. They wanted to kind of stitch complete profiles of online, offline aggregated data. And that's exactly what they achieved with MoEngage. And effectively, what they achieved was an 8% increase in the orders, app-based. Or let's look at lifestyle. Especially if you're living in Bangalore, it's one of the most strongest retail brand, of course, across the world too now. Now, one of the things which they want to do was about how do they How do they reduce the cart abandonment, which was they reduced it by 20% eventually, and then increase the retention rate, which they increased by 30%. They did two things. One is about on the cart abandonment, basically they looked at doing an very personalized push notification SMS. And on the case of retention rates, basically it was about how they applied the segmentation. Let me move on. Bisleri. Bisleri wanted to move into a more app-based engagement channel. And that's been a big success, a subscription business they're running now. And that's where they adopted that. The other one I can talk about is Marico. Marico, when they wanted to look at a D2C initiative, basically they looked at how can they build a D2C business model. That's where they achieved with the MoEngage. And you can see some of the metrics. The engagement from web campaigns went up by 8%. The open rates, which is a key important indicator for transactional messages, went up by 5%. Lastly, I'll touch on Wakefit. Wakefit and digital native company, and basically they looked at how can they basically leverage this. They created widgets which are highly personalized, drive better engagement, and so on. And if you look at the kind of uplift they achieved, it's as much as 70% is the number of units sold post this. So those were the 5 stories I just want to touch on. But interestingly, what we are seeing from MoEngage is in the last, if I just take last 1 year, right, this year, right, look at across all the customers who have implemented MoEngage, we're seeing some fairly high level of adoption. If you just look at analytics, right, we see as much as our customers who are using MoEngage platform, their usage of analytics has gone up as much as 68%. If you look at the AI, right, one of the important aspects in AI automation is the cross-channel journeys, creating those. Almost gone up by 50%. Or if I touch on the number of channels they're using, 90% of our customers are using 3 channels. In fact, 30% are using 5 channels. The point I'm making here is, over the last few months, we are especially seeing a very high level of adoption, high level of maturity on how brands and customers are using these tools. Just to give you a sense of the scale at which we operate, one of the important indicators is MAUs, monthly active users. It's close to 1 billion, which is like 2 times more than if you look at Twitter and Reddit, or it's as much as 1/3 of Facebook. Look at the scale, right? We do something like an 1.1 odd trillion messages this year so far. So that's a huge scale we are operating on. In terms of the adoption, today we are proud to say that we can count on 1,200 customers plus across different verticals who have leveraged the MoEngage brand. So in summary, what you would see from us is it's basically an insights-led engagement platform, which will help you in terms of unifying, analyzing, and engaging so that you have a rich customer engagement. So that's my 13 minutes, 2 minutes buffer with me. Thank you.